All right, so we have this type of nav, right? We have, this is feature, pricing, FAQ. This is another one. You can see B here. This means the company logo will be here. Your items will be at the center. You have login button and sign up here. This is a type of nav. Another nav is immediately after the logo, you have the list of items, and on the right hand part you have a search menu and you have button login and sign up. Another nav bar is this same. Just check it out one after the other, right? You can see this is another nav style. So anyone you actually want to use in all this that we have said, you can actually leverage on them and use them for your project. So now we are actually not going to use, because we are using a particular project to examine and see how everything actually works. So, and we also have the hero session. Now hero session is still the same thing as this carousel. Can you see this? Any website you have a section that there is image and content like this, and a swipe left and right, we call it carousel. We can also call it hero session is also, can you see it's quickly, you can actually leverage on this hero session where you have a set of headings and a short a description text at the bottom and a call to action buttons. You can see another hero section here and an image here, right? We have another one here. You have the content on the left and the image on the right, and we have them in different levels. This is another hero session as a contact form here, right? And so on and so forth. So now let us leverage on, okay, let us dive deeper. We have another section in the web page which is called features. I mean, I'm very sure we have seen websites with this kind of structure, this kind of formatting. Can you see this is one columns with what? Icons. Column 1, column 2, column 3. Basically, a website column is actually 12 columns, right? Where you can actually calculate either it is 2 columns. For instance, now we have just 3 features here. So if we divide 3 by 12, if we divide 12 by 3, this definitely means this column will be holding 4. This will be 4 columns, 4 columns, 4 columns, making it 12, right? The same thing, there is calculations you need to put into consideration when you are working. And even I have more than 3, maybe there are 4. Definitely, the columns I'm going to merge here is going to be 4. It's going to be 3 columns, 3 columns here, 3 columns here. And you can decide not to use columns. You can start it with CSS and so on and so forth. You can see this is a custom card. We have seen something like this before on a web pages. Now let me return back from this page. Now let me just move forward. All right, okay, now this is how it works. Let me return back to these projects we are working on. We have the bootstrap here. This is what it does. I've explained now. It is a CSS styling techniques that it allows you to leverage on a predefined CSS component. Yes. So, and you can see this link here. It is pointing to fonts. Many projects I use it every time. I use Google API fonts. Yes, if you visit Google API fonts, you can actually access it. Let's access it here. You see how you can leverage on them, and you can see, which means that any font that is inside this API endpoint here, you can actually leverage on them for your projects, right? So each of them has their uniqueness and how they actually looks. So the next thing here is, in a web development project, at the header part of the page, that is where you have you are going to style, you are going to write the SEO content. For instance, what I mean by SEO means, let me search for our company, map ambience, for instance. Now this is our company. The moment I search it online, you can see everything related to us is here, right? Now what it does is that it's very straightforward. You can see this content that display at the top here. You have it in our title, in our first home page, which is our index page. That is how we have it there, right? Now the next thing that you see under, which is map limited, map ambience limited is a leading web blah 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 blah. It is the function of the SEO, and it is being added under this place. We call it meta. You can see we have meta viewport, we have meta description. It is under this description, all these things I've just said. And the author, we put our name, we can put our company name, do you understand, and so on and so forth. You see, as people start visiting this your page, this meta tag and author, we continue to index. There is Google indexing system that will be recording how often people start visiting that page, and as it goes, then it will start ranking well. That is why I say that if you type map, before you know it, it will rank and bring our company information. The same thing is applicable to websites. So when you're talking about SEO, when you're building a website for a client, you have to make sure that you generate a meta tag, a meta description that aligns with that website content. No, this one now, when you check for map, we are actually a software company. When you visit our page online, you notice that everything related to what you are saying is about tech. Yes, so it's not that you go and generate a meta tag. We are building a website for a food vendor. You are not generating a meta tag for a clothing this thing. It doesn't correct. So that's how that logic works. So now we have additional CSS files, which is stored inside this asset folder. There's something we call assets. Assets are those things that our website really relies on to make it work at full capacity. Now we under the assets, we can have our CSS file, we can have our images, we can have our JS file, which is JavaScript, and we can have our web fonts. You see this web font, you can actually download it online and use it. In most cases, me, I don't actually download the files here, so I prefer using it and CDN. Then I'll go and check it and use the font name I like and use it in my project. So now all these additional files, we should learn how to actually reference them and organize them. You can see this one is Bootstrap, this is a vendor. It is possible you use up to 10-15, as much as possible, vendors. When you start working on large projects, I'm going to show you some of my projects I've worked on. You will see a lot of vendors that I used in that project. So and so on and so forth. That will be in the header tag. Now in the body, we have the header part, which is what we were discussing. We have the header tag here. Inside the header tag, we have the wrapper. Then inside the wrapper, we have the row. Inside the row, we have the div, then the nav. Now what it does is that this header tag, mainly we do recommend that there are some HTML elements that you should use that will make your work much more simple. For instance, something like header, main, footer is very clear and straightforward for anybody to get. Even it even helps the website to optimize well when it comes to search engine optimization. So now this is the header part. If I remove this dude here now and refresh that page, you can see that there is nothing there again. So that's the function, and let me return it back, Ctrl Z. All right, so here I want to explain the technology here. All right, so here now we have our nav, which is this navigation system. Nav means navigation system. So now we have the main nav. The main nav starts with a logo. Can you see we have logo on the left, Mexant. Now this Mexant we have here. After that we have a list item, which is UL element. Inside this list we have sub list of items that, okay, we have LI. This UL means on other list. LI majority of us may have already understood how this actually works. This li we have for home services, about, and so on and so forth. Now, a student asked me a question sometimes last week about the logic behind this. Now, this is the logic. After itemizing all these things, this other page, which is called pages, we definitely have some pages. So instead of following the same flow as others, you are going to first write this, put the name there, then it's going to be having a sub pages. So inside the sub pages, you are going to add the title there. Inside that title, immediately after it, you are going to have your unordered list, which we have your sub menu. Then you place it. Now, some students who ask me, why do we have to put li and a? The reason is because these are clickable icons, clickable items. So we have to place it inside. We have to place it inside a tag element, so that when user click on it, it can easily perform a certain functions. Although there are other ways we can actually do this, but it does not really necessary. But this is one of the easiest way, and to point to whatever we need to point on. All right, we are still going to build a simple mini project that we are going to actually practicalize all these things and see how it works. So that's how the header works. Then immediately after that, we have our menu. You can see this menu. This menu is only triggered when we have our device running on small devices. Let me just rerun this again. This inspect. You can see this menu icon. Can you see this icon here? Right, this is it. It is not going to be visible when you are on larger screen. That is why I said it is bootstrap. Now let me do some play around. Let me collapse all this. Here. Okay, vendor, bootstrap, css, then bootstrap mini css. So this is a file. I can just realign this by pressing shift alt F on my keyboard. Beautiful. This is going to realign everything back to this order. So let me just scroll up here. You see all the classes, CSS classes that we have, that we want to be using. We have them here. They have already customized them for us. So all you just need to do is to just use it. So I was trying to explain the difference between CDN and why do we use CDN. Now this is a bootstrap. Now you can see we have up to how many lines of CSS here? About 12,000 lines of CSS, and practically that does not mean we actually need all those 12,000 lines of CSS. So instead of having something like this, that is why some developers will rely on CDN, so that we don't need to start loading our projects with heavy files and so on and so forth. So I believe we are making a good progress. So that is how that one works. So after that, we have the swiper container, which I call the carousel. Yes, this is the carousel. Let me cancel this. We have this carousel here, which is the swiper, and let us see the logic. We have the swiper here, right? And inside the swiper, we have multiple divs inside it, just to ensure it is properly indexed. Now we have, let me collapse this. You can see the way I've picked it. Now the first one there is we have the swiper container, right? After the container, we have the wrapper, then we have the swiper slide. Now what this does is that this is the first swiper that displays to us. Let me show you. You can see this first one. Let me check the content inside it so we can get it. We can see get ready for your business. Get ready for your business. Supposing you want to use this template for another person, you can just change the name. Let me scroll up here. Let me tweak it from the company. Okay, it is logo. Let me just use get ready for your business upgrade, all aspects. We are very good at it. All right. Okay, we have this here. You can see it has actually reflected here, so which is a good sign. So if you are building for a client, all you just need is just remove all those words, put your own there. Very simple. You have the design, no stress, nothing, no cracking of this thing. So if you just have to remove this and so on and so forth, then all these icon that you see here, let us see the technology behind it. So it's very straightforward. You can see at that swiper we have buttons at the center, right? So what's the function? It is a call to action button, CAT, right? Now the button is tied using green button. We use the class name buttons, right? Then we style this one to be green and we style this one to be orange. So I'm very sure we must have learned the difference between how to apply a class and how to apply how to reference to an ID, an element by an ID. So that is the technology. So the second swiper is this, the third swiper is this. So we can actually remove them and put our own. So if you want to remove them, you know that you just remove this, except you just need one. If you need more than one, you just change the wordings and you are good to go. Beautiful. So the next one is we are going to have our main banner. Yes, what do we mean by main banner? We have all these dude here. Most websites, you see immediately after the carousel, you see a vision, mission, and so on and so forth, what we do, a welcome address from the website owner, and so on and so forth. So here we have what we called the main banner. So we normally call it services, right? We can call it services because this one explains and displays what this particular website actually does for people out there, right? So here it is being sectionalized into a card. This is a card and these are icons. So we have the icons on the left, we then it style the content and the headings and so on and so forth. So I don't need to waste much of my time here. We also have another section here. Let's scroll down and see how the section looks like. So you can see now here, this one they group it into rows and columns. So now you can see this one says column large 6, this one says column large 6. What it does is that it is telling you that, hey dude, I mentioned that our page is actually divided into 12 columns. So this first card is occupying 6, this second card is occupying 6. So and the essence of using this LG means large, that is on large screen, it is going to calculate it as 6. The moment it shrinks to any screen that is lesser than large media query, it is going to adjust it as well. It is still going to reflect, but it's going to show in a vertical format. As time goes on, let me show us. I think hold on. All right, I want us to see how it looks like. Okay, this is what I'm saying. Can you see exactly now? It has realigned, right? That's the function of what we did here. So the next one is we are going to be, let's scroll down to the next one here. We are going back to the simple call to action card, which is this section. We call it call to action, CTA, right? Business solutions and crypto investments. Discover more and contact us. This is a call to action. Why? We are telling them to particularly do a certain thing. So when you are discussing with your clients, you need to be using all these terms. Okay, so